Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Wrasslin for Life Network. Welcome to Wrasslin Court. It's a big one today as we put John Cena on trial up against the people. Are they right? Are they justified in being angry? Or is the heel turn all deserved by Mr. Cena? Is he only getting what he deserves? We will find out. We will talk about it, folks. Get in that chat. It's going to be a fun one. Let's go.
Court is now in session. John Cena versus the people. The Wrasslin for Life Network is here. Is John Cena justified in being angry? Are the fans justified in being angry? 25 years of John Cena. Today we hash it out in court. We got our opening statements. We have KJ, we have Nick, and we'll start with KJ.
We're starting with me. On behalf of the one, John Cena, your 16-time champion, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, thank you for joining us here today. We appreciate it. We're looking forward to pleading our case. You're going to see a lot of things here today. You're going to see a reason to be at the edge. You're going to see a reason to be upset. What you're not going to see is appreciation. You're not going to see love. You're not going to see anybody that really gave a man what he deserved. This man, my client, John Cena, broke his back, bent over backwards, match after match after match, 25 years in the book. They called him the prototype for a reason, but now he is getting what is his and people don't like it. Some people say that's a crime. Some people say that hurt their feelings. Well, that's a tough break because what I can see is a champion, a man that will be a 17-time champion, ready to stake his claim. And after all these years of giving back, he is taking what is his, and he's justified in doing so. So, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, regardless of what my counterpoint may say on the other side, tough break. Unfortunately, we can all see a verdict for John Cena here today. Thank you.
I feel like this is going to be a good one, Nick. It's your time.
Don't worry. Don't worry. We're going to get into the whole, John Cena's been acting like this a while, but this isn't the first time he's done this.
Your Honor, can you stay on topic?
We're going to get there. Well, first, Your Honor, I would like to apologize. I figured I would dress as one of the fans. I didn't get the memo that it was suit and tie night here, but I will get into my opening statement as I represent the fans versus one John Cuthbert Cena. But ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I am here today to prove that John Cena turned his back on the fans. I dare say John Cena has always been a heel. At the very least, we have finally seen the veil slip and Mr. Cena to finally show his true colors. He has turned on the fans for egotistical and selfish reasons, of which I'm also to prove is in Mr. Cena's history. I would also like you to keep in mind that as this trial goes on, that even after Mr. Cena's abhorrent hatred for the fans has come to light, those same fans still call him their hero.
Ooh, okay. All right. So I think it's time to start the argument, start the debate, get it all heated. I like how Nick has addressed Cena as Mr. Cena. I feel like that is perfect in this area right now in this courtroom. So it's time to bring up the first set of evidence. KJ, back to you.
All right. Well, Your Honor, in defense of my client, and we will talk about this. I mean, there's precedents being set. And I know in the opening statement from my counterpart, you did hear a little bit about, well, he's always been a heel. But I don't think that's the case. I know he dabbled. But again, we will remind everybody. Let's go through some history here real quick. We had Hollywood Hogan turn, the yellow and red. Now he's the ultimate heel, both inside and outside of the ring, especially if you ask Brooke. Lots to figure out. Let's talk about with that. But
There might be another trial. That might be another trial.
might be another trial. We've seen that heel turn. Of course, John Cena himself, which is not supposed to be in my files. The Rock went Hollywood. The fans turned on him as well. Long standing. Even sweet old Anakin Skywalker was blessed, was full of heart and joy and happiness, was pulled to the dark side. What about Grimace? Grimace, everyone's lovable favorite purple person, was then turned by giving us all the Grimace McFlurry and damn near killed everybody. The heel turn is inevitable. And the one, the only, even Stone Cold cut a deal with what might be the devil himself. This is nothing new. John Cena, like others, had stepped out, wanted his time. He deserved his time. Give and give and give. But the one thing different between all the names I listed and John Cena, what's the difference, you ask, folks? Well, John Cena made his turn 25 years later, not for fame, not to create a longer career, not for the money. He's got the money. All he did was demand what is his. If that's a heel turn, well, I'm sorry. I think we're all guilty of heel turns because we all deserve what's ours.
KJ bringing up Anakin Skywalker. Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot to take in. Nick, what do you have to say? What evidence do you have to bring to this court?
Well, first, may I respond to my counsel here first? Right? May I cross-examine about this
Yes,
and
sir.
everything? Because first, we did bring up Grimace too as well. Let's not forget John Cena's the face of the McValue meal and everything now too as well. So coincidence? I think not. But also in that entire argument, did you ever hear the counsel mention anything about what caused the fans for John Cena to turn heel? In all of those heel turns, not a single reason was because of the fans. Now, was it? It was because of selfish needs and selfish gains and everything like that. Like I had already said, stands in John Cena's history.
Well, let's correct the counsel real quick here, folks. I didn't say that because I'm saying, is it really a heel turn? Or is this just a man that wants what he deserves? What
are
he
the
is
fans at fault?
What has he? If after all this time, and I know more evidence is going to come out as we proceed here, but if after 25 years of giving and giving and giving, setting a Guinness World Book record for Make-A-Wish, then to walk out in front of an audience that should be praising him, should be cheering for him, should be at his feet worshiping John Cena. No, they're singing John Cena sucks. John Cena sucks. No matter what the man did, would you not get to your breaking point? Or am I leading the witness now by pushing him?
Well, now at this point, beyond your counsel, you're bringing in what's currently the situation here because he has turned his back on the fans.
Did he though?
Did he do it? Did he do it? I think
did he turn his back, or did they turn their back on him?
Well, we'll get into that as I'm going to present my first case of evidence here.
There we go.
Oh, okay.
There we go.
Yeah, we're going to get there. We're going to get there. So let's talk about when the fans first really got behind John Cena and helped begin his rise, if not perhaps helping him keep his job. When John Cena broke out the Vanilla Ice costume during the SmackDown Halloween party in 2002, the fans got behind rapping John Cena, and this is when he began to receive more promo time, bigger matches, etc. Cena has said himself at the time that he felt like he was the next head on the chopping block before this Halloween. As at this time, he hadn't really found his place on the card at this moment. So if the fans had not reacted positively to the Doctor of Thugonomics, John Cena, it is possible that John Cena wouldn't be a 16-time world champion that he is today. So the fans getting behind John Cena is even the whole reason we have John Cena today.
So, counsel, I may ask, what was he when they got behind him finally?
Well, heel, and that's the thing is they've stayed behind him throughout thick and thin. That's the point I'm proving here, counsel.
They love him more as the heel. So when he came out,
loved him.
The guy with the talent, the prototype. By the way, the prototype that we're going to talk about that gets copied by many. But when he was just the talented guy, that wasn't good enough for the people. They didn't like it very much. This man's was almost out of a job, but he goes heel. and they start cheering. They like his raps. They like his freestyles. He's kind of funny. Then all these years later, after milking him dry, he says, I'm going to have a chip on my shoulder again. And they say, no, John, we don't like that. Well, who's being a little hypocritical now?
But have they turned their back on him? They've been behind him since he started off as a heel. Sorry that I would expect my performer to develop a little bit of a personality, a little bit of a character, a little bit of depth.
Your Honor, he's lying.
Prove it.
I mean, I think we've all witnessed and bared witness, and I will go to the witnesses in the chat right now. Have we not seen 20 plus years of booing, hatred, vile treatment by a vast majority of this fan base? The fans that loved him wanted all of them, and the fans, like I said, it didn't matter what this man did. They were always going to hate him. They were always going to make him Darth Vader.
So they haven't loved him at all right now, like up into this retirement tour or anything like that. And during Dr. Thugonomics, Word Life, when he was, even teasing how about a little heel turn, they never loved him. They always hated him.
Your Honor, are you a John Cena fan?
Am I a John Cena fan?
Did you cheer for John Cena in his heyday?
I mean, I have to be honest. I did not.
Yes.
I did not.
Point proven.
Then should we dismiss this whole case, Your Honor?
But I
smell collusion.
But I'm impartial tonight, so I feel like
are you really?
I am, because I feel like we need to take this to the chat and we need to get that question answered that was thrown out by KJ here. So do you feel as if John Cena was hated the majority of his career? Do you feel John Cena was hated, or do you feel, and in Nick's defense, was John Cena loved the majority of his career?
I think to a large portion of the fan base, it didn't matter what John Cena did. Once he kind of moved into hustle, loyalty, respect, a lot of people gave up on him. Not a lot of people wanted him. And again, all you got to go back through and watch the history of John Cena. Go watch any of his matches. Watch one of the 2,300 matches he gave the WWE Universe. And you will hear at least half of that building screaming John Cena sucks at the top of their lungs, booing him when he wins, putting him down when he does well. He doesn't know enough. He doesn't wrestle good enough. He's not our champion. Now, some, mostly kids, did get behind him, but the fan base really maligned this gentleman.
So the top merch seller in the company, the face of the company for almost 2 decades at least. WrestleMania main events out the wazoo, goes to Hollywood. They even support him when he's out there acting, doing movies and everything. This, that, and the third. The man's the face of McDonald's, but people can't stand him. They just don't want him. They just don't accept him. That's what you're trying to convince everybody right now?
Well, I think the wrestling fans, and I have, like I said, proof that, there's a lot of a lot of instances, excuse my language, Your Honor, lots of instances, easy for me to say, but we definitely have that fan base that never loved him. That, again, they might buy his t-shirts, but they legitimately booed him at every possible turn. Now, has the general public or Hollywood accepted him more than the wrestling fans? For sure. And that's even more kudos to the man. In spite of all the hatred, in spite of all the mistreatment, here is this guy that essentially becomes, just reviled for being good. He is the Nickelback of pro wrestling. 17 million albums sold worldwide and nobody likes him. That is John Cena.
So I guess this question is for both of you here. In the general public of any type of form of entertainment, there's always someone that's beloved, but then they're the haters in the background, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is John Cena just a common denominator of being an all-around entertainer where he's going to get hate, even though he's this big baby face to the general population? Because you can't technically say that the fans turned on him if people just hated him from the beginning. Just a group of people in general hated him from the beginning. So is John Cena just the cause of being popular? that makes him the way he is?
I would agree with that. I mean, I've even got, I'll call into the artist here of saying, but the fan base never really hated him. They just enjoyed ridiculing him. They chanted, you know, you suck at Kurt Angle. Did they really hate Kurt Angle? Or was it just you had still some that it's nice to rhyme? I want to get my sing songs off. I want to get my rocks off.
They definitely
because for John Cena to get to where he was in Hollywood and to get those offers, to get where they want his name on the cup and everything, to quote CM Punk, John Cena had to get over with the wrestling fans. That's what even my first piece of evidence was proving, of that John Cena got over, and then that's where he skyrocketed. That's where he took off.
Because of his perseverance, because of his ability.
Because the fans got behind him.
No, not really, though. Because in his biggest moments, the fans were there, and the vast majority of them were disappointed. They didn't want John Cena. They want what they can't have. And when they had John Cena, they didn't want him. Then when he was gone, they had to keep bringing John Cena back to build up your current champions. Just like right now, Cody Rhodes, it's perfect they call John Cena the prototype, because we've seen Roman try and be John Cena. We've seen Cody Rhodes now, if nobody's a better example. But like right here, here's some evidence for you, Judge, if you will. Let's go to what type of what they needed John Cena for as time moved on.
Go ahead, find it. Go ahead. Oh, wait. It's called a promo,
Shut
kid,
your
and
mouth,
if you want to
John.
be the big dog, you're going to have to learn how to do it, so go ahead.
The big dog, the tribal chief, some will argue the GOAT, can't even cut a promo. It takes John Cena in. You know, they got to keep bringing John back. They got to bring the Goldbergs back, those guys, because the current generation couldn't carry the ball. And every time John Cena came back, people resented him a little more. Part-time Hollywooder, part-time wrestler. We don't really want you here. Doesn't matter how much you're entertaining us. Doesn't matter how much better you are than the guys that we want to cheer for. We got to keep bringing them back because John Cena sells. And yeah, it might be some hate watching, but it's worth it.
Well,
Go ahead, Nick. No, you go ahead, Nick.
I was just going to say, this ties perfectly into my next piece of evidence, Your Honor, of let's talk about the victims of John Cena. John Cena, big match John with his big old shovel. And since you even wanted to mention Hollywood Hogan and everything before, very fitting that you're saying, well, they just couldn't get over, brother. Doesn't work for me, brother. Sounds a little bit more like that now, doesn't it? But as I present my second piece of evidence, as I said earlier, Mr. Cena has shown a history of egotistical and selfish behavior, despite preaching hustle, loyalty, and respect. Take, for example, the most egregious example of John bearing or keeping talent down because he was Super Cena. At SummerSlam 2010, the Nexus had to win a 7 versus 7 match to remain a credible threat, and yet after taking a DDT on concrete, or a Moxley bump, Cena miraculously recovered, eliminated the final 2 Nexus members, and buried an entire faction in one night. Another example, Rusev, who even came out, even after coming out in a tank at WrestleMania 31, still lost clean to John Cena. Damian Sandow couldn't even cash in on Cena when he had one arm.
As he shouldn't.
Zack Ryder had to watch John make out with his girlfriend and get tossed off the Raw set in a wheelchair by Kane. The list goes on and on from Proto Divas to today. John Cena has shown a history of only worrying about John Cena.
Hustle is the hustle, and that's what he's worried about right now. But ultimately, you gave me examples of, you know, remedial talent. Nexus, what were they going to be if John Cena didn't get out of the way? The next Friday.
We don't know because Big John had to show up.
Where were they going? What were they going to do? They were going to redefine wrestling because John Cena got in their way. Oh, boo. Again, Nexus wasn't going to be anything special. John Cena already was. And again, another example of the fans going, well, but John earned it. John was better than the names that you listed, and he deserved the accolades. He deserved to push them down. Sandow going to cash in on Cena? What's next? Tozawa gets a Mania main event? What are we doing? What are we talking about, Your Honor?
I would like to bring up a point here, and this is Nick and bringing up John Cena's past with prior wrestlers.
Uh-huh.
I do want to point out here, and I don't know if this is in your evidence, but if it is, I'll bring it out now. John Cena did at one point call out a big famous wrestler named The Rock because he was a part-time wrestler. And John Cena is now in the shoes of being a part-time wrestler, or had been for the past 7 years. Did John Cena actually dig his own hole of being hated by the fans because he called out one of the most popular wrestlers in sports entertainment history?
Are you sure you two don't want to switch chairs? John Cena, again, I think with that question is that he had the opportunities, and because of who he was and how over he was, you had no choice but to continue to push him. I don't think that. I think he became that part-timer and later in his career, but even now, I mean, this is his final run, so there is no greater advantage for him. Hogan turned heel to extend his career. Rock turned heel because, again, he was boring and lame and found a good way to be better. And the fans forced it. They were booing for him anyway. Grimace and his McFlurry just straight up sucked. But at the end of the day, I think that John Cena's success made people envious. John Cena's success made people feel insecure. And I think the names that our co-counsel or the counsel across the way named, I mean, what were any of those names going to be? We're going to get 16-time Damian Sandow? I don't know.
We have no idea because they get pushed down. And you even said, John had to keep coming back because this guy couldn't get over, that guy couldn't get over. You're saying Cody Rhodes right now isn't over?
I never said Cody Rhodes wasn't over.
So then why is John got to be heel now and everything like that? Why is he got to bump Cody up like you mentioned with Roman and everything?
Hey.
Well, again, because at the time, Cena was definitely brought back in the mix time and time again because they couldn't get the current stars to sell. It was one of the weakest times in wrestling through the late 2010s into the 2020s. This resurgence we got now is a different story. Now, him coming back, Cody sitting in a throne that John Cena has earned, and John Cena going out the door as 17-time champ holding that record is just one more thing that this man deserves. And if the fans don't like it, that's not his fault for him taking what is his.
Right, but we're here to argue whether the fans turned their back on John or John turned his back on the fans. And I think it sounds much more you're even making the case that John turned his back on the fans. The fans are the ones that said, okay, John, you're clearly doing this for selfish reasons. You're out there, you still want to take the spotlight. You want to ride off in the sunset.
So is Tom Brady and Bill Belichick selfish for winning all
those things? Yes.
Are they really, or are they just champions? Are they just better than you? And they
were behind John. They were behind John all the way until he kicked Cody.
Till when?
Till he kicked Cody.
They weren't behind him. I mean, we were a little happier to see him. But look at this. I mean, you talk about why would John, is it the fans? Look, man's trying to have a meal. And this is a picture from a clip. This guy's trying to have lunch. Fans are harassing him. There's John Cena at the hotel. A podcaster can't get out of his face. John, the whole way being polite. These are just two examples of where the fans just milked everything they had from this guy. And the entire time they were milking him, they were criticizing him. He's not this, he's not that, he's just this. And now that he says, well, screw y'all, I can't give you guys anymore. You get no more. Now you guys are going to throw a temper tantrum? The fans are going to act like children who didn't get another cookie after dinner? I don't know, Your Honor. I'm struggling.
Nick?
It's because they love the man that much. It's even still, as the man that John Cena, the child that John Cena turned into a meme, even still sits there as John hates the invisible joke so much and everything.
Right.
But even this child's out there still saying, but at the end of the day, he's still my hero. They still loved John. They still wanted him to get to 17. They were upset that Jey Uso won the Rumble instead of John. And instead, then that's when John decides that it's here. I'll even go to my next bit of evidence here. This is when John decides that, enough's enough. I'm what's best for business. I'm cashing in. This is not the fans turning on John. This is John, like you said, And it's valid that he's doing this, but this is John turning on the fans at this point, that it's him saying, I'm cashing in my equity. I am, it is my time. I am leaving on 17. I am going out of all of that. They were still behind him. They sat there and they picked out a child, and he's still calling him his hero. They want to cheer for John.
The key word in that statement, though, was equity. The equity that he had earned. Equity, the idea that John turned on the fans is blasphemy. He earned that equity, and the people didn't want to give him that equity. He deserved every bit of it. And all he told the people was, after all these years of doing for everybody but me, putting everybody else first, this is my time. This is my championship to win, and I'm going to Mania to do it. And he succeeded in that. But this is a man that was pushed to the limit. This was a man that had been boxed in, cornered in. I think he's justified in every bit to be angry, frustrated, and stand up for himself. It's almost self-defense.
Self-defense, Your Honor. Self-defense. While this man has been loved and adored, this man didn't win a singles match in 6 years, took time off, as you even mentioned yourself, Your Honor, and admitted John Cena hater. Even admitted how he took time off.
Objection! Through the
evidence. It's in the court documents. It's in the papers. But even John took time off to go do Hollywood, and they supported him there. They support him doing this. They support him doing that. They supported him all the way through till he decided that he was going to go out for him, and he was going to look for himself and everything and say, fuck the fans, and sit there and kick Cody and sold his soul to Dwayne and everything. That's when they justifiably felt like they had been betrayed, because they were still fine. If it would have been babyface John versus babyface Cody, they still would have been torn either way.
And when it comes to a heel turn, the majority of the time, and I'll say about 85% of the time, the majority of a heel turn is because someone does technically go into business for themselves, right? We can look at the latest big heel turn right now in WWE with Naomi. Naomi decided to go into business for herself because she's felt like she's been mistreated by her counterparts in Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair. We're at this point where John Cena has been in this career for 25 years, and there were ups and downs in his career by far. But one thing, KJ, that you pointed out was that he has put people first in his entirety of his career.
If they deserved it.
I do, looking at Nick's evidence, see where he kind of pointed out that there was a chunk of time where he was not putting people first. It was looking like it was him putting himself first, even though he was a face. So where do we blur the line between, was John Cena actually a heel his entire time, or did the fans actually turn on him?
The fans turned on this man because, like we said, there are people like, Council showed, the little boy who still thinks John's a hero. But that's the exception. That's the small pocket. That's not the people that are loud and vocal, the people that criticized his acting, criticized his movies. He can't do it. He can't wrestle. He can't act. Like the Scots of the world. John Cena earned nothing. He deserves nothing. That is the pettiness that John Cena is fighting against. But ultimately, he put people over if they deserved to go over. He took a lot of L's. I think somebody just put in evidence 6 years without a win, drops to Austin Theory at a Mania, drops to Wyatt at a Mania. There are examples, but Damien Sandow didn't go over. I think we're okay. So again, I think if they had earned it, no different like in Austin. Wait, you want me to put Brock over without a build? Not happening. Does that make him selfish or does that make him smart? But again, the man came out and preached hustle, loyalty, respect, night in and night out with people booing in his face.
And they never cheered for him ever. They never were supportive of him. They never loved him. They always hated him. They never supported him. Is that what you're trying to say, Counsel?
So you're saying if they cheered for him in the beginning of his career, if they were supportive of him in the beginning, that he doesn't have the right to have a breaking point like any other human.
I'm saying that they've cheered for him the entirety of his career, from when he was being selfish to when he was got to stay on top, brother, to when he's realizing that, Go ahead.
I don't think that's the argument here. We're not talking about his entire career was one way. I do believe there was a time where he had a lot of fanfare. He had a lot of love and people were thrilled. But I think over time, like everyone else, but they just wore on him and they wore on him. And again, every relationship starts loving doesn't mean it can't turn ugly. And this relationship became a demanding, borderline abusive relationship from the fan base.
As of recently, up till Royal Rumble, even Elimination Chamber, when were they demanding? When were they saying, John, you got to do this, John, you got to do that? No, the whole time they were supportive of John. They wanted to ride out. They bought every merch of every show that he's out there. When he changed up his shirt for every show that he was going to on his retirement tour, they were still buying all the merch. They were still cheering for him the whole time. Like I said, they were upset that Jey Uso won the Rumble over John. And how are we going to get to John winning 17? They wanted John to win 17 at Mania.
I think you're saying objection, Your Honor. I think the council keeps using they as in a broader scope of people to offer his own opinion. But I do think the general public did not feel that way. The Scotts of the world, the Judge Anthonys of the world, who said, fudge John Cena. We don't want him to win the Rumble. We don't want him to, like, people were going to be mad. Could you imagine if John Cena won that Rumble? The internet, the fan base, the people that, here they go again.
The small pocket that we continue to say is a small pocket of the internet fan base would have been outraged.
I don't know. I think the smaller pocket of fans were the ones that were cheering, that were supportive. This man felt so beaten down, and he took L after L with everyone laughing in his face and get to a point where he just said, enough.
So nobody was picking Cena to win at Elimination Chamber.
So a handful of people pick it. Does that mean that the case is... Again, so one person thought Sandow should be world champion. Does that mean we should have done it? Like, I mean, again, we're using in a whole arena. Yeah, there was people cheering for him. We're talking about what was the majority. And again, your argument boils down very specific to one or two people.
Yes, no, my argument is the greater audience. You keep referencing the Twitters, the onlines, and everything. The small pocket that we even on this very channel and platform say is a small pocket of the wrestling audience. So I think it's very much the greater, larger spectrum of wrestling fans that are buying the merch, that are putting asses in seats and everything.
I don't know, though. They were going to buy. And I mean, you use the example of his merch, but I mean, again, he wasn't extensively in that tour prior to Rumble. It's been a very quick turnaround. The handful of shows he's been to, sure, he sold some shirts. Sure, that little chubby kid is all happy that he got his John Cena hat. But again, when you malign someone for this is decades, this is years in the making, this is frustration boiled over. So yeah, you know, the Make-A-Wish kids were thrilled to see John Cena, but the 4,500 people in the first bunch of rows despised him no matter what he did for them.
Yeah, I remember so many recent John Cena appearances to where he's getting nothing but boos. Maybe the past week since he turned on the fans and everything like that. But before that, I don't recall too many of these boos that you keep talking about.
It was
I think it's the veil slip, and veil has slipped, and John Cena allowed the world to see who he truly is.
He truly is the guy that's done over 650 Make-A-Wish. This is the guy that showed up week in and week out when the company was struggling. He was the only one people were paying to see. But again, did it the whole time with people screaming in his face how much he sucked. Never gave him credit for what he did do. And even your evidence here today of he didn't put over Nexus. Who gives a flying hoot about Nexus? Let's be real. You heard the chants for years, not just 1 year, not just 2 years. Yay, they were all happy to see him on his retirement tour for 2 or 3 shows before he turned. But what were they saying last year and the year before and the year before? John Cena sucks. John Cena sucks. Oh, this guy again. Oh, this guy taking a spot. Oh, this Hollywooder. Oh, this part-timer. They were throwing dirt at this man's name every chance they got. And the little boy in the crowd loved him, but all the people standing behind him might not have.
I don't know if the chat wants to weigh in, or if Your Honor wants to weigh in.
Whoa,
I would heavily
Your Honor,
disagree.
objection. I
would heavily disagree, counsel, that over even the past couple of years, at the very least, if we want to go to that point, that there has been a negative reaction to John Cena showing up. This isn't just the retirement tour thing, and they were cheering for him every time that he showed up. I feel like counsel is hung up on the period to where, like I said, and I will admit that there was a time to where the fans were saying John Cena sucks and everything, the same way that they chant "You suck" at Kurt Angle.
So I would like to bring the chat in for this. This is perfect with Nick.
I like it. Let's go.
Nick saying, so since John Cena has become a part-timer, I've personally seen, especially in the social media space, that John Cena was missed when he was gone, which tells me that people wanted him back.
Also tells me we have fickle fans.
So, Chad, do you feel as if John Cena was beloved while he was away more than when he was actually there?
Fickle fans, they want what they can't have. When he's gone, boo-hoo. You guys remember Cena? Cena comes back. Oh, he's taking this guy's spot. Oh, he wouldn't put over the Miz. Like, come on.
I don't know. I got a testimony from Scott Woodford here saying John Cena doesn't pay my bills, and people told Kurt Angle he sucks too.
They endearingly sang to Kurt Angle. They didn't malign Kurt Angle the way they maligned John Cena. We can, like, even Kurt Angle comes out and sings along to that. Cena was maligned. It's a difference.
He never played with the crowd. He never teased. How about a little heel turn, anything like that?
He actually ignored it more than he didn't. He had to be the bigger man. Like the examples I gave of the audience that's following around the streets. You can't see me. You can't, John, I can see you for 25 years. And I know you think I'm looking at a small pocket, but we're talking from like 2015 to 2020, where people really didn't give a shit about John Cena and what he did, what he felt, what he wanted. They just were, again, fickle fans. And the more John Cena had success, every title he put on under his belt, just like Charlotte Flair, nothing makes people angrier than success.
Because he's got to keep the spotlight on Big John. The veil slipped, and so now he's got to make sure he gets 17. He's got to make sure he's on that WrestleMania card.
Absolutely.
That's what's best for business.
Absolutely, and that's what's best for him, and he has every right to do so. That is my argument here today, people of the jury. John Cena has every right to be selfish at this juncture because he's been selfless for so long.
Does and this is a good comment here that I'm gonna turn into a question. Does being overexposed over time make fans dislike someone?
Yeah, for sure.
I would agree with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Do we have any more evidence? I feel like Nick hasn't put out any evidence in a minute. KJ has ran this for a minute. So Nick, do you have any evidence here?
No, I'm good. I've gone through my 3 pieces of evidence.
Okay.
Well, what else is the chat saying? Anything jump out? Break a wish again. But
so John Cena didn't break the hearts of all those Make-A-Wish kids, because now he's got to make sure that he's got to be 17. Yes, he's got to go down in the history books.
Yes, he did.
And is he not glory chasing?
Okay, I have something. This is more recent too.
I like it.
John Cena, or I should say the fans, never broke up with John Cena. It was verbatim from him that said he was breaking up with the fans. So did the fans actually turn on him?
It's justified. It is a justified breakup. He was in a I don't want to use a certain word, but he was in an unfair relationship. He was in a relationship that took more than it gave, and he broke up with the bad lover, which was the fickle fans. So he said goodbye. I got to do me. I deserve better.
No, he was well, I will it was a toxic relationship, I will say that, but the veil slipped on who was the true narcissist in this situation,
The
and it's
fans.
the one that's glory chasing.
Glory chasing, he has all the glory. This last little moment here in his career, he doesn't need it. He's got all the glory. Top billed in
Oh, so he
Hollywood.
chose to
15
tell the fans
titles.
to fuck off.
Yes, it was justified. If the
So he
council,
turned on
Your
them.
Honor, can you ask co-counsel to listen? He broke up with them. He saved himself from a shitty, toxic relationship. He said, enough is enough. I've had enough of your fickleness. You're going to boo me anyway. Boo me now as I walk into the sunset with 17 titles around
But
my
they
waist.
weren't booing. That's the thing. They weren't booing. They were cheering. They wanted John there. They were happy he was in the elimination chamber.
Counselor, you're ignoring the years that they booed this man, that they shat on this man, that everything he did was wrong. The group, the fans in the building, they weren't going, you suck, yay, you suck. They were, John Cena sucks, with vile and venom. They wanted that.
There was never a response of anything of let's go Cena. There was no back and forth in any of that.
Like them. We just established the Break-A-Wish, the Make-A-Wish kids were big fans. Not everybody hated the man. That doesn't mean the vast majority of them didn't drain the happiness from this man's soul.
Or is he just playing the victim to justify his position?
Evidence to support that.
I think I've proven that before. Of that,
I don't think you have proven anything, Your Honor.
I provided evidence previously, Your Honor.
I'm kind of interested to hear.
Okay.
I provided evidence earlier, Your Honor, of John's previous history of looking out for John. We had a whole discussion about this, to where John Cena has been nothing but a bully and used other people's weaknesses to make a mockery of them.
That wasn't even presented, Your Honor. That wasn't even presented, Your Honor.
Okay, so the mockery part was not presented.
He's added some extra shit, Your Honor. Playing games with my emotions, Smokey. But no, again, I think the idea, you say you proved your case by saying, look at where John was selfish, but John was the superstar. Not like, oh, we should have let Mizdow get over on John. We should have let Wade Barrett was going to be the next guy to carry the company, or Ryback, or who? I don't think so. Ezekiel. No, it was Ezekiel. No, probably not him either. So again, you gave evidence, but your evidence doesn't prove anything other than this man had to carry a company on his back because of the names that you listed. Couldn't.
So then Roman Reigns ain't shit. Cody Rhodes ain't shit.
You want to run back the clip? You want to run back the clip where if it wasn't for a stern talking to and an embarrassment, we would never have the tribal chief. Thank you, John Cena. Thank you, John Cena, for maligning that man and embarrassing him publicly so that he'd get his shit together, because at that point in his career, it's called a promo, son. You better learn it. And he has. Thank God.
Because he never sat there and wasn't going Cena Hogan out there with those. Even still, I admit that you've brought up this line of I'm here because you can't do your job. I still think that the company was moving along without John pretty fine. I still think even right now it certainly is. And now This is when John Cena's got to stake his claim. And now, again, like I've said, the veil has slipped. And now he's out for what's his. I'm not saying that John Cena has not earned it. I'm saying that the fans have supported him through this, that they have been there through thick and thin with him. They are the ones that help have him keep a job and everything when he was not even himself that he was on the chopping block. And they got behind the doctor of thugonomics and have rode the path with him.
Okay. Sorry, we bounced a little there. All the way back, if it was up to the fans, John Cena would have been out of the company. John Cena had to figure it out. Actually, thank God Stephanie McMahon is a sucker for a good freestyle. But John Cena had to work through that. There was something you made a point before that, and then we jumped. But do keep in mind, John Cena doesn't have to be here right now. John Cena being involved in wrestling in 2025 is a gift to the fans, and they still don't even realize it. And now that he wants to go out on his own and do his own thing, they're going to hate him for it. Well, maybe they already did hate him, But the only thing slipping is Cody's pants as he takes a spanking from John come Mania. That's all I know.
So I guess I guess I'm gonna pose one last question here as we get to the closing statements and closing arguments. John Cena came out at Money in the Bank, I believe, last year to announce his retirement tour. Was there not an outcry of people not wanting that to actually happen? But I remember fans actually in the audience crying because he was announcing his retirement, and it seemed like the entirety of the crowd was behind him at that point in time. Now we get towards his heel turn, and in his first promo he said he tried to do one last thing nice for the fans, but they ruined it. So my question to KJ would be, how did they ruin the last nice thing for him when the crowd was really behind him when he said he was going to retire? And then my last question to Nick would be, was the crowd truly behind him at that point?
That's the thing. Were they truly behind them? Were there pockets of the sure there are Cena fans out there. There's also Manson fans out there and Gacy fans out there and Bundy fans. Like there's fans for everybody. But at the end of the day, John came in as a, here you go. Here's the cherry on top of a wonderful career. And there was still that negative draw. Yeah, some fans cried, Anthony, you're right. But even when you break up with somebody in a toxic relationship, often the person being dumped gets emotional. They don't want to lose what they have control of. They don't want to lose what they've taken advantage of. They don't want to lose what they've neglected for all these years. When you could have been nicer to this man, when you could have celebrated this man earlier in his career, now he's on the way out, and all of a sudden now we're going to miss him. I think it's completely justified in his behavior.
To answer your question, Your Honor, and also go against my co-counsel here, of that, I think the fans were fully behind John Cena, and I think it's very fitting that counsel brought up who he brought up in defense of John Cena, as to, I think it's very evident of who instantly sprung to mind when it comes to guys like John Cena, of narcissistic, egotistical, delusional, psychopath, sociopath. And I think, again, the veil has finally slipped on Cena. What did the fans really destroy, ruin? That was John Cena's last gift to the fans.
Imagine you showed up at a party. You had a big old gift in your hands, and you said, "Here, I brought this for you guys." And as you walked in, somebody,
what did he bring? What did he bring? What
himself.
Did they ruin?
He's the gift. He is the man. And yes, you might say egotistical, but when you are the star, when you are the guy that literally carried the company on his back, I'm coming back. We're all going to have fun together. Boo, boo, we don't like it. Like typical wrestling fans. Oh, we only like what we want when we want, but not when you do it when we wanted it, but we didn't want it. Boo, hoo, hoo. And that's all it was. Again, this man wanted to go out into the sunset and wave happiness to everybody. Instead, again, mixed emotions. And this guy has to deal with this squeaky clean, fake politician in Cody Rhodes. Screw it. Kick him in the nuts. Let's move on.
Is it because he saw that that's what John Cena was, and Cody's the new generation, the new face of the company? Because, I mean, you're going to say that the fans weren't behind Cena, that they weren't still happy that Cena was there, that he had won Elimination Chamber and everything like that. It was at the exact moment that Cena kicked Cody, low blowed him, and he turned and he made the grimace face and everything like that.
So you're holding counsel. You were contesting that there wasn't people going into Rumble or Elimination Chamber right up until that moment he kicked Cody. The whole fan base, like the bulk of the fan base, was right behind John. Oh my God, he's gonna do it. There was more people out there saying, I really hope Cena doesn't win the Rumble. I know, I was one of them. It is the case. We didn't want to see Cena win the Rumble. We didn't want to see Cena win the Chamber. We wanted to see someone else. And John Cena's justified response is, Screw y'all then. I'm going to do me.
All right, so I think both of you answered my first initial question, and then it took a left and right turn somewhere. But I think it's time that we need to go to the closing statements. We started off with KJ with the case, so we'll start off at the ending here. We'll start off with Nick. What is your closing statement, your closing argument? I think the jury is ready to hear.
Fair enough. I will remind, pull up another piece of evidence just during my closing statement.
You don't use evidence during closing statements, do we? Okay, fine. I'll allow it.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
You just whatever.
Go ahead, Nick.
It's already been admitted. But again, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I feel I have made a strong enough case to show that John Cena has turned on the fans. I feel Mr. Cena has reverted back to his true form as a heel, which is how he started off in the WWE. And even when the fans cheered him and he won, 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 it still wasn't enough for John. He still needed to be on top, but despite anything, he yells at the fans and says they get nothing and to look in the mirror, because when John looks in the mirror, he sees a bully, a horrible person that turns the weaknesses of others into jokes. Despite every vicious thing Mr. Cena has said about the fans, you still see even the very boy that John Cena turned into a meme, like that invisible joke he ate so much, still say John's his hero. I hate to break it to you folks, but Superman's an asshole.
Ooh. All right, KJ. So we are now with you in your closing argument here. Yeah. And if you want to bring up evidence, I will let you bring up evidence.
I will stick to the facts. I will stick to it. As my co-counsel pointed out, it's not a question of whether or not John Cena turned. John Cena broke up with the people. Before you make your vote, jury out there, understand. The question is he justified in his turn? Is he justified in his actions? Did he have every right to say enough is enough? It is my time. Screw Cody Rhodes. Screw the people. Screw the WWE. I'm going to Mania. I'm doing for me. And I don't care if I got to get into bed with The Rock. I'm going to do it. Now, beyond that, you have to understand this was years in the making. You might want to look through, oh, yeah, everybody was high-fiving him and wishing him all the well as he was doing his retirement tour. But for years, this man got accosted. And we heard him from his own account. Just give us more. Give us more. Even when he turned heel, fans went public and were mad that he didn't get new music, new outfits, new hats, new looks, new logos. Because even then, the selfish fans wanted more. Even when he said, F you, I'm done, you can't see this anymore, they said, we want to see more. We want more. We're going to follow you around. We are going to boo you when we don't like anything you do. We're going to cut up your movies. We're going to cut up your performances. We're going to tell the world you don't know how to wrestle, even though you've entertained us for 2+ decades, 2,300 matches, a whole career of great moments, a Guinness World Book record. My counselor, my counterpart here wants to say that this man's always been a heel. Tell that to a world record holder in Make-A-Wish given. So now, just like anything else in this world, John Cena giveth, John Cena taketh, and he has every right to take. He's earned it. This is his twilight. This is his goodbye. And he's justified in saying, so long, people, this one's for me.
Okay, so we have both closing statements, closing arguments in. This is a tough call. This is a tough call. I really do like this comment down here. I want to point out that you can't hate what you can't see. I think that's a fair point here. There's a lot going on in the chat right now. We've had some on KJ's side. We've had some on Nick's side, but it's time for the jury to make their decision of who. Is John Cena guilty? Is John Cena not guilty? Is John Cena justified? Is John Cena a crybaby? Or, and I don't swear, but I have to say this, is John Cena a whiny bitch, like Cody Rhodes did say? A poll will be going out shortly.
It's out, and it's tied. It is 50-50. We have a hung jury.
Wow. This might be the best back and forth. Like, this has been a good case. We'll say that. Now that we've had closing arguments, I can at least say that.
Absolutely, folks. Get your votes in if you haven't yet. As it stands right now, the people 54%. John Cena 46%. So the people have a slight edge. We will give
Where's
you
nothing in the poll?
it was tied. It was neck and neck. Somebody double voting to help you out. But as the jury makes their votes, folks, I will take a second to remind everybody we are back tomorrow. Raw, 2:45 start time, live from London. The last live show on their European tour. Then we'll get back to business as usual. WrestleMania season is in full swing. It's going to be a fun one, including everyone's favorite topic, John Cena. Cody Rhodes will be there. Obviously, we get the women's match, and we got lots to talk about and lots to get into all week long. NXT is going to cook. They're getting ready for Stand and Deliver. Dynamite's cooking, getting ready for the go-home show for Dynasty. So much to talk about, so much to get into. If you like our original content, comment down below. Click all the buttons, like, share, subscribe, and we're going to send you guys, or we're going to put out more and more of this kind of content as slowly everything's coming off here. So also you, Superman.
We are stripping
exactly.
in the courtroom
Superman's
today.
an asshole. I did like this from AM Line that I saw. I love how seriously you guys take this. So again, the more you guys help us grow, guys and gals and everything, help us grow, the more we can, make this the full-time gig, and we can do this, much more regularly.
And absolutely. I would like to say that we haven't did court in a long time, but this might have been my favorite court case.
So we are going to put last call on the jury. If you haven't voted yet, you have 30 seconds to vote. Do you think John Cena is justified, or are the people right in being disappointed and hurt by John Cena?
Well, we got taking a sample poll here. Paul saying, "God damn, KJ, you provided a great case." And then MDB is saying, "I'm redeeming myself from Wing of the Ring, where I collapsed in fantastic fashion."
Yeah.
Boston saying he doesn't see the poll.
The poll's up. It's in the chat.
Fair enough.
I'm looking at it. The poll is in your face.
KJ working for them dollars. Hashtag don't take it off. Do something strange for a little piece of change. Right? You got to get that other 4%. Make it at least a hung jury.
Right. It was close. We're back. All right. So we'll end the poll there. I think that's perfect. We might have to revisit this. This might be Cena versus the people too. As it stands right now, the poll is 50-50. Hung jury. We hung him, Nick.
Whoa.
Oh my.
Yeah, no, I guess. So how do we do this now? Is this kind of like who gives a victory speech, who gives a loser speech?
Yeah, I believe this is a mistrial here, the first mistrial on the channel. So we might have to revisit this down the line.
Yeah, no, we might have to do part 2 of this one, because this one was heated. This one was fun. It's got me with the vapors. Yeah, the chat goes 50-50 on the vote for the first time ever. So thank you, chat. But I mean, hell of a battle, hell of a court. By all means, on the comment section of these videos, you can suggest other things that we need to put on trial as well. Nick One says, Scott, he paid to do so.
Exactly. See,
your vote doesn't count, Boston. Your vote doesn't count.
There you go. There you go. Well, Your Honor, I think we're good to pack her in and say goodnight.
Well, I think we've heard everything. The jury has spoken. It's 50-50 down the middle. You may see us again in the future with another John Cena versus the people, but court is adjourned.